And WKRN, open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
35 million people have no health insurance.
When we got our first bill, and it was $92,000.
We finally lost our home.
We have to pray every night that no one gets sick.
Tonight, the growing political pressure to create a national health care system.
This is ABC News Nightline. Another in a series of broadcasts, Listening to America. Now reporting from Washington, Ted Koppel.
Are there villains in this story? Plenty of them. Doctors on the take from the pharmaceutical companies, or doctors who order more diagnostic tests than are really necessary. That drives the cost of medicine up. And what about the hospitals? Billing patients and their insurance companies 5, 10, 20 times what an item costs them. And of course the insurance companies themselves. They are, after all, first, last, and foremost businesses, not charitable organizations. But how much responsibility should they bear for some of the irresponsible investments they've made with the money they've earned? And finally, there's us, the consumers who sue the doctors and hospitals for not ordering enough diagnostic tests when something goes wrong. The consumers who rarely, if ever, shop around for medical bargains, since, after all, the insurance companies are paying the bills. There's enough blame to go around. But when all is said and done, 54% of us, the polls say, tell us that we worry a great deal about not having the wherewithal to afford adequate medical care. That's the problem. Tonight, we'll talk about some of the solutions. First, this report from John McKenzie.
Just when, I thought everything was fine, and one day I was diagnosed with leukemia with no warning.
Tracy Allen has no health insurance. She lost that when her husband lost his job. Early this year, she was rushed to the hospital with leukemia.
I got here that night, and I was here for 30 days. Intense chemotherapy treatments, and after about 2 days of being home, we got our first bill. And it was $92,000 for 30 days.
Since last March, the treatments have continued, and so have the bills.
I can't give you the exact figure. It's about $250,000 easily. I mean, there's no way that we could take extra hospital bills like that, so at this point we really don't know what's going to happen.
Well, I had worked at a job for 19 years that carried group insurance, and when they closed their doors, December 22nd, 1981, that was the last day I worked.
Like the millions who suddenly find themselves unemployed, Jack Stalter could not afford health insurance on his own. And without insurance, he could not afford the medicine he urgently needed.
Because of lack of medication, I was having a lot of problems with hypertension, high blood pressure, along with angina and severe vascular headaches. I got so sick that I didn't care whether I lived or died.
Jack Stalter's family slid from middle-class security into desperate poverty.
I remember one winter where our gas was shut off. We had the 2 daughters, a granddaughter at home. We had a Ben Franklin stove, which we heated with the wood. And if it wasn't for Ben Franklin, we would have froze to death.
We finally lost our home. We could no longer afford the mortgage payments, and it was sold at a sheriff's sale.
The suffering, both physical and financial, led to extreme depression.
I felt useless, worthless, really, that the family would have been better off without me, that I was a burden. What are we going to have for supper?
Well, I don't know yet.
Nancy Stalter works as a short order cook. She does not have health insurance either.
The restaurant where I work, very small, and they don't offer it, no.
There is something wrong, and it's a sad thing, because I had accepted the fact that I was going to die. just because I couldn't afford to get the medication I needed. And I'm sure that there's people like that all over this country. Our neighbor friends.
And he always goes, woo!
Erica Kirschbaum feels fine today, but 5 years ago, her pediatrician thought she needed heart surgery.
He said, well, let's wait. I just started a job, truck driving job. He said, well, let's wait 2 weeks for your insurance kicks in because heart surgery can be pretty expensive.
But in the next 2 days, she really started to go downhill, and I said, I'm not waiting 10 days, and so I took her back in the next morning, and they discovered that she had leukemia.
The hospital also discovered the Kirschbaums had no health insurance.
They found out after 2 days being there, they just said, you got to go. That's when we went to Children's Mercy Hospital. What happened in school today? Who wants to start first?
I do.
At one point, when Erica seemed near death, doctors advised the Kirschbaums to take her to a hospital which specialized in bone marrow transplants.
And our son was a perfect donor, with a perfect match, which the chances of that happening are 1 in, a million.
And they said in order to go that route, they'd have to have $75,000 just to walk through the door. Where were we going to get $75,000?
THOUSANDS.
Eventually, Erica responded to the chemotherapy treatments, and her leukemia is now in remission. But the bills keep piling up.
I have no idea how much the total amount of our bills are, but I know it was way beyond what our family could pay or any American average class family could pay. I think they need to help families that make too much to be on Medicare or welfare, but don't make enough to pay off the medical bills. There needs to be some help for those middle class families.
Come on, let's go for a walk, okay?
John Masucci was an executive in one of the thousands of companies too small to afford health insurance for their employees. 5 years ago, he began having crippling backaches.
The pain level was so great that during the last few weeks that I worked, I had to be helped from my chair and put in a prone position by my employer. And then when I could stand it again, he would help me back to a sitting position to continue my work.
Because of the agonizing pain of spinal arthritis, he was forced to stop working at the age of 35. That's when he began his slide into bankruptcy.
It was a time of real struggle to not try for suicide as a solution. I sold literally all my personal possessions other than the clothes that I was going to wear. I had collected aluminum and glass bottles to try to make rent payments. We had utilities shut off, telephones shut off. Very, very humiliating time. And very hard on the children to see them struggling just to get by. Then my pain level became so very great that they were giving me morphine, and the morphine wasn't stopping the pain. I was unable to sleep at all. I wasn't able to move at all. I had to have immediate surgery. And it cost me $15,000, which I didn't have, and still don't have. I still owe the money.
The Masuccis get by these days because John has finally become eligible for disability benefits.
So I really don't see where we're ever going to be at a point where we say we do not owe medical bills. It's only going to get worse from here, to my mind. We have to pray every night that no one gets sick, or we're in deeper soup than we are now. There's the deer tracks. Yeah.
Where?
Right there in front. We're following it. Our country shouldn't be in a position where people have to sacrifice health at a time when we're able to both aid foreign governments and build a very large military complex. I think we could do with one less bomber and have medical coverage for people in catastrophic conditions. Come on, Kooks.
This is John McKenzie reporting for Nightline.
Oh, you gonna beat me?
When we come back, we'll talk with the head of a foundation that's lobbying for a national health care system. and with an official of the American Medical Association who opposes national health insurance.
This is ABC News Nightline, brought to you by Ford.
Ford Motor Company profiles in quality, employee involvement.
If you're working together, you'll do a better job. I said that back in '82, and the quality of our cars and trucks is proof that it's working today.
Money alone won't build quality cars. You've got to have better designs.
Better designs don't mean a thing unless engineering can live up to the designs.
Engineering works only when everyone is committed to quality.
Our goal is to build the highest quality cars and trucks in the world.
At Ford, quality is job one.
It's Sears 72-hour fine jewelry sale. 30 to 70% below comparable values elsewhere on things that glitter, glisten, sparkle, shine, and tick. Sears 72-hour fine jewelry sale. It's over Sunday, so get over to Sears fast.
Campbell's heard your healthy requests.
Low fat.
Less salt.
But lots of taste.
Here's our answer. New Campbell's Healthy Request ready-to-serve soups. All the great taste you want without some things you don't. New Campbell's Healthy Request. And healthy.
It doesn't get any better than this until you call for help. Call 373-8700 for a free confidential consultation. The Harbors. You have a device in your home that fights the pain alcohol and drugs inflict on your family. Use it. Call 373-8700 for a free confidential consultation. The Harbors.
Goodbye, Tide with Bleach. Here's Ultra.
I've tried everything, but this gets the odor out of my laundry.
Instead of a cup, one little scoop.
I can't believe the scoop is so small. You see these socks? They could walk out the door by themselves. And the odor? Oof.
Take dirt and odor gone down to the fiber. Gets only this white with this other detergent, but with Ultra Tide with Bleach, it's whiter without chlorine bleach.
So white? Not a trace of that smell. I don't need liquid bleach anymore.
Today's Tide with Bleach is Ultra.
What you didn't know about Pearl Harbor, the secret U.S. plan to bomb Japan first. America beaten to the punch.
On 2020.
Friday.
Joining us now from our Washington studio is Richard Pollack, Executive Director of the Families USA Foundation, part of a coalition pushing its own plan for national health insurance. And joining us from New Orleans, Dr. Daniel Johnson, an official with the American Medical Association. Mr. Pollack, as you and I both know, the sort of anecdotal evidence that we have presented at the beginning of this broadcast, individual stories of very, very difficult situations that individual American families are facing, can be compelling, but not necessarily conclusive in terms of what the country as a whole is going through. How representative do you think these stories are that we've told this evening?
Well, Ted, I think that it is representative, but in many ways, I think the crisis is even more significant in that what you focused on really in this opening piece is people who are uninsured. And the problem is that there are a good number of middle-class people and people who are insured who feel terribly in jeopardy because healthcare costs are rising at such a dramatic rate. Premiums, deductibles, and co-insurance are rising very quickly. People who are insured still are worried that if grandma needs long-term care, that long-term care costs $30,000 on average a year, and in urban places it costs considerably more than that, and people don't have protection from that. People are concerned that if they're in a job and they want to switch jobs, they're going to find that they're going to lose their insurance or they're in a job lock situation. And anyone who's got a pre-existing condition is very worried because even if they have the money to pay for insurance, the insurance companies do not want to give them the insurance because they're afraid they're going to make substantial claims.
Dr. Johnson, let me identify at least, or have you identify the outlines of the debate. There isn't any argument, is there, that there is a huge problem when it comes to medical costs, escalating medical costs in this country and how people are going to meet them.
Ted, not only is there a significant problem, the physicians in this country say that the status quo is unacceptable. We've got to make changes, and we've got to make significant changes. Now, the dilemma is how we approach those changes, what kind of changes we make to get to what kinds of solutions. As has already been identified, the costs question is perhaps the most significant. The access dilemma that we have when we have so many people who don't have insurance is a function of cost. So as we look at cost, the choices boil down to two basic ones. Either we have some kind of central control price-fixing mechanism, or we establish a marketplace where everyone, the physicians, the insurers, the government, big business, small business, labor, is accountable to the patient, the consumers of the services. A system in which the consumers, the patients, become cost sensitive, and they tell the rest of us how to run the system.
All right, if you can, and I realize that this is a very complex issue and can't easily be diluted down to a minute, but those are the restrictions we got here. Tell me how you think that can work.
First of all, we don't have a marketplace. We don't have true decisions and choices for patients. As a matter of fact, we're distilling down into what's called a managed care, where someone else is telling the patient and the doctor how their relationship ought to be. What we'd like to see as an American Medical Association is have a choice between a managed care system, the usual and customary that we have now, which we think got us into the dilemma that we're in, and a situation called a benefit payment schedule, where the physician sets his or her fees according to whatever it costs to deliver the service. The insurer or government pays whatever it costs, whatever they are able to pay based on premiums collected, and leave it up to the patient and the physician to work out what to do with any difference. That means that the insurance premiums can be kept in an appropriate level, and it can be up to the physician and the patient to decide whether the patient can afford to pay any more than that.
Now, what, if anything, Mr. Pollack, is wrong with that?
Well, what's wrong with that is that what we have in our current system that this would not correct is if you consider the healthcare system like a balloon and you try to do something try to ratchet down costs by putting your finger in one end of the balloon, it pops out on the other side. And the problem is, unless we have a system that affects all of the payers, we're really not going to get a hold of this escalating healthcare crisis because costs will continue to go up. What we really need is a system whereby the payers of care, whether it's business, labor, and consumers sit on one end of the table and the providers of care sit on the other side of the table, and they work out a budget, and a budget that is not going to have health care costs rising faster than wages are rising.
Now, there are a number of issues that immediately raises in my mind, but let me save that now for the other side of the commercial break. We'll continue our discussion in a moment.
With its fluid curves, aggressive 160 horsepower engine, and anti-lock brakes, the new Honda Prelude SI makes driving a more illuminating experience.
Cordon Negro brewed by Freshenet. There's a party in every bottle.
The energy to go further. We share that energy at Texaco, creating products like Haviland Formula 3 motor oil and Texaco antifreeze. Protection that goes as far as it can, and then goes even further.
Hey, nice suit. Expensive?
Not at Burlington Coat Factory.
Designer dress. Cost a lot?
Not at Burlington Coat Factory.
Wow, great outfits. Cost your mom plenty?
Not at Burlington Coat Factory.
But why do they call it Burlington Coat Factory?
Because they have more of these than anybody.
Besides, ever try to say Burlington ladies, men's, kids, suits, shirts, sportswear, linens, dresses, furs, slacks, Coat Factory?
It's the grand opening of Furniture Factory Outlet, Nashville's newest, most exciting furniture showroom. 50,000 square feet of name brand furniture at lowest guaranteed prices every day. You could pay over $600 for this sofa alone, but while they last, this beautiful sofa is priced at just $322. And we're going to give you the matching love seat absolutely free. Believe it, folks, at Furniture Factory Outlet, we save you money.
Have you ever wondered why certain clouds seem to affect our weather more than others?
Have you ever wondered how volcanoes can change our weather patterns?
Have you ever wondered whether lightning comes down from the clouds or up from the ground?
I'm Rick Mitchell.
I'm Lisa Patton.
And I'm Davis Nolan. Join us for Weather Wonders,
a week-long look at the wonders of weather.
A national award-winning joint project of Channel 2 and the Tennessee Education Association.
All this week on Channel 2 News at 5 and 6.
Are you being poisoned by someone close to you? Second-hand smoke. Learn firsthand the truth about smoke in your face.
Watch 2020 Friday.
High-tech marketing. Tomorrow, how do marketers know if you are a potential customer?
Also, Bette Midler, along with her new co-star James Caan, on Good Morning America tomorrow.
First of all, Mr. Pollock, my apologies. I understand I inadvertently identified you as Richard Pollock. Your name is Ronald Pollock. But let us get back to what you were saying just before the break. You're talking about getting the two sides sitting on opposite sides of the table. That is, the health providers and those who pay for the health services, be they insurance companies or unions or employers or the consumers themselves. How, for example, do you convince the consumers not to sue the doctors if something goes wrong? I mean, I understand from doctors and from insurance company representatives that the litigation alone has driven the cost of medical care up astronomically in this country.
Well, Ted, I agree that we need some reform of our tort system in order to deal with costs. I think that would be helpful, although I must say right away that liability insurance premiums only are somewhere between 1 and 2% of our entire health care costs. Now, yeah, but it does add to defensive medicine.
And it also depends on what kind of doctor you're talking about. You talk to the OB-GYN doctors, and I'm sure their percentage is much higher.
There's no question that that's right. The real fat in the health care system is in several places, and that's where I think the AMA is refusing to really deal with healthcare costs. Number one, we've got a tremendous amount of fat in administrative waste. There's a tremendous amount of money that's spent in paperwork. There are 1,500 insurance companies in the United States. They have 1,500 different forms, 1,500 sets of rules. And so doctors and hospitals are spending as much time filling out forms as they are practicing medicine.
Let me stop you on that point and find out from Dr. Johnson. On that point alone, can we find agreement? I mean, if there was some kind of a uniform form system, that would be terrific for everyone, right?
Absolutely. You'd have a hard time finding a physician in this country who was content with the administrative nightmare that we and patients face. But there are simple solutions to that. There are uniform forms that can be used. We already have a coding system that would have to be used no matter what system. The issue here is not simplifying administration. It's a choice that patients and the citizens in this country have between central control and price fixing and something that gives patients a choice between different financing systems. It's ironic that in Eastern Europe and in Russia, central control has led to economic ruin. And yet people are proposing central control of our medical system.
Well, let us talk about that, Mr. Pollock. When Dr. Johnson refers to central control, is that a national health program that he is talking about?
Well, I don't know exactly which system he's proposing for us to look at. There are many different systems that other countries have used in the democratic Western world.
Quickly give me the best and explain why.
I'll give you two, if you don't mind. One is the German system. The German system says, in effect, we're not going to allow health care costs to rise above wages. And then they tell the payers of care and the providers of care to work out a budget. And they sit across the table and they work it out. The other system that also works very well is the Canadian system. Under the Canadian system, the government, in effect, is a single payer, and they then set the rules with the providers, and they determine what is going to be paid to doctors and to hospitals.
All right, take a quick crack at both of those, Dr. Johnson. What's wrong with them from your point of view?
What happens in both of those systems is who gets what care is determined by the bottom line of the budget instead of by the needs of patients. So the more expensive care a patient needs, the more likely that he or she is going to have to wait for that care. And the whole issue of what care is driven is not a function of what the patient needs. It's a function of how much money is set aside to pay for that and no other consideration.
But let me ask you this. If on the one hand we're talking about a patient who needs expensive care having to wait for it, and on the other hand, which seems to be the case with a great many people in this country today, they're simply not having the money to get it at all, which seems worse to you?
There's no issue here that no matter which system you look at, which proposal you look at, we all want every citizen in this country to have coverage and have available care. That's not on the table. We all agree on that. The question is, do we get to that point by a central controlled, budget locked-in system with price fixing, or do we get there the same way we get to other economic solutions in this country, by a freedom of choice and a free market system?
We only have a minute left, Mr. Pollack, so give me your best argument for why the free market system in this case is not the best system.
Well, free market system presumes that if you've got a car accident, you're going to be able to bargain for a doctor or a hospital, or you've got cancer, you're going to start a search for which hospital is the cheapest, or which doctor is the cheapest. It doesn't really work that way, and it's contrary to human nature. The Canadians and the Germans, they've found a system that's very popular. People get high-quality care, they have choice of doctors, and the costs are lower.
Let me stop you right there. We've only got about 20 seconds left, Dr. Johnson, but you were shaking your head. Put it into words as quickly as you can.
What you have to do is, if you limit the care according to the amount of money that's going to be spent, you're going to end up with what happens in Canada, where people have to wait long periods of time for coronary bypass surgery, for hip replacement, for cataract operations. Those waits are a function of central control. They can be eliminated, even in Canada, by giving people freedom of choice, economic choice.
Gentlemen, as is so often the case, I think we bit off more than we can chew in half an hour, but I thank both of you for trying to make it as palatable as possible. Dr. Johnson, Mr. Pollack, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll be back in a moment with a program note.
Ford Taurus, the pattern other car companies have drawn on for inspiration. Well, this year, we've given them even more inspiration. With a more aerodynamic design, an interior that's more intelligent, and features like a standard driver's and available passenger's airbag. Once again, we've sent the competition back to the drawing board. Have you noticed a pattern developing here? Have you driven a Ford lately?
And now, there's new, longer-lasting Glade Carpet Potpourri. So now the freshness lasts even longer. Spray it, shake it, or pump it.
No potpourris like Glade.
Do your holiday shopping with the Discover card, and you'll not only give, you'll receive a cashback bonus for every charge. It pays to Discover.
Take a 3, 4, or 7-day fun ship vacation to the Bahamas, Caribbean, or Mexican Riviera on Carnival, the most popular cruise line in the world.
When you're the person who doctors the family, you're on call day and night. And since coughs can be extra annoying at night, that's a good time to doctor that cough with Robitussin. Because more doctors and pharmacists recommend Robitussin than any other cough medicine. Robitussin, recommended by more doctors, pharmacists, and Dr. Mom.
Tomorrow, on the 28th anniversary of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, a special edition of Nightline. The KGB files on Lee Harvey Oswald. Nightline got an exclusive look into the secret police files on the man accused of killing the president, and they contain some startling insights. That's our report for tonight. I'm Ted Koppel in Washington. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
This has been Nightline.
Nightline is a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
Friday, Larry's turkey gobbles something.
If one of your stupid birds ate my ring, you'll be the one who gets whacked and sacked.
Perfect stranger.
Wow.
Then,
it's a good thing I'm here.
It's Mickey's first Thanksgiving.
All right, everybody eat.
It's baby time, Friday.
At last, something to be thankful for.
Centennial Oriental Rugs at 2515 West End Avenue is going out.